CJ spoke last night after a blisteringly bad loss by the Houston Texans to the Seattle Seahawks. This is the game that exactly the game that we wanted it to be, a measuring stick. And it's just that we didn't want the outcome to be just that the Texans did not measure up to a team like the Seattle Seahawks. On Monday night on the road, CJ only answered a few questions last night, not because he was being a dick or anything. It was just it's that kind of night. It was late. Everybody wanted to get home. So I left the questions in because you could actually hear him pretty well. Let's start with this. This one, just because I'm trying not to play the telephone game here and get PO'd about something that somebody else said, but just listen to the question and CJ's answer.
Titus mentioned that he felt like the offense was kind of complacent to start and couldn't really pick up energy. Do you kind of agree with that statement? And if so, why do you guys kind of agree with that statement?
I don't know what he meant by complacent, but I think the type of offense we're running is like I told y'all, death by 1,000 cuts, and sometimes when you live by that sport, it's hard because you're not taking a bunch of deep downfield shots, but you're asked to be really good on first, second down time and time again, and something that we just got to get better at. It's still new to a lot of us, but I definitely think we can be better at that, and that'll definitely help.
Okay, so multiple things there that I'm trying not to get triggered by, because I don't know how Titus actually said that he felt like the offense might have gotten complacent. I know that there had been a tendency for people to really want to say that, hey, man, the offensive line is really humming now. They're awesome, aren't they? Because they beat two bad defenses. Like, no, they made some progress. And I do think the offensive line has improved with their fundamentals in some respects, but they still have a long way to go, obviously. And the offensive line was not by a long shot the only issue on the offense last night. If they did feel complacent, I don't know what they were basing it on because they had issues still in the Ravens game that they needed to clean up. CJ wasn't protected as much as he should have been in the Ravens game because of miscommunications in pass protection. Some of them the offensive line faults, perhaps some CJ, some Woody Marks, whatever. That's the Ravens. That was the JV version of an already bad defense with the Ravens. You go against the Seahawks, and obviously you're not going to be able to roll out your JV attitude. The part about CJ, because he's mentioned this a few times, is this offense being kind of death by 1,000 paper cuts. And again, just like I'm not sure exactly what Titus meant when he said the word complacent, maybe used in a different context. But likewise with CJ, as a younger man, might not necessarily understand the connotations of death by 1,000 paper cuts. It's not something that suggests violent efficiency or anything like that. So whenever I hear death by 1,000 paper cuts, I hear it as like him grudgingly running this offense or something. It's a strategy that's well proven over time that it does work, death by 1,000 paper cuts, if you're efficient, if you're taking care of business on first and second down. And CJ owns up to the accountability for him and everybody else to be better on first and second down. But some of the easy stuff eluded the Texans last night. And sometimes it was CJ, sometimes it was the wide receivers, sometimes it was the offensive line. Everybody shared in the blame, including Nick Caley. Nick Caley's choice of run plays we can't have it both ways. We can't complain about CJ throwing the ball 49 times, but then also complain when Nick runs the ball. It's that you've just got to be more effective when you do run the ball. And when you're going up against a defensive line that's clearly physically superior to your offensive linemen, let's not run the same run the same leads up into the middle, into the teeth of that defense all the time. And every now and then, can we have a QB sneak? CJ spent all offseason squatting and working on his body, and we're not doing any of what like every other team in the NFL is doing right now, which is not just a sneak, and they're not all doing it, but some version of the tush push. So here, like I said, I'm not going to get agitated. Let's go to the red zone. Let's go to let's see. What stopped them in the red zone on one of these series?
As you all are kind of getting closer, the drive before the one you all scored, what do you feel like, stopped you all there?
Yeah, it's tough. We got down there pretty good. Our defense kept us in it the whole game. We got to help those guys out and score some points somehow, some way. I tried to throw it over the guy. He made a hell of a play, jumping and knocking it down. they zoned a lot of stuff off. So I was trying to just make plays. You know, it's hard to throw over guys in the red zone. So, you know, it wasn't easy down there. But we got to find some type of way to score some points, however it looks.
Yeah, all right. And as far as at times, especially when Nico and Dalton Schultz were out of the game, there just weren't that many options. And it felt like Caley went to a desperation last-ditch play-calling mode in the fourth quarter of just sending 4 verts and just, hey, let's spread it out and see whatever the hell happens. The first field goal, I had heard red zone the first time, and I didn't know which one they were talking about. But and we talk about multiple things being wrong on an offense. This first field goal, when they got down into the red zone, there was a defensive penalty that got them down to the 20. This play right here, is pass protection an issue? Not really. It was, by the time there was time for him to step up, and he did a good job, credit him for that, and he doesn't know exactly where that defensive lineman is behind him there. There were options downfield on 1st and 10 that he could have taken. I'll say this wasn't perfect pass protection, so all right, I'll back off on that. That was not great. That was not great by Ariante Ursary. But then, I mean, you make an imperfect throw to a running back who just it's not like it was that imperfect. Catch the freaking football. Then quarterback falls down, trips over his center's feet. We talked about this morning. My inner meathead wants to criticize C.J. for not trying to get up immediately, but you look at he's got a defensive lineman bearing down on him. Do the smart thing as a young maturing quarterback, and then by then it's 3rd and long, and pass protection was there long enough. He dumps it down, and you end up settling for a field goal. So multiple things on 3 plays in a row going wrong there, or just not quite right. And that's what you could say about the entire night. We'll get into the importance of communication when picking up blitzes, because I've got some things to say about this.
Last one.
How valuable is communication on just the plays where they're kind of setting those disguises to disguise the blitz? Because there was especially a few times in the second half where guys were coming at you free. How important and how imperative is communication in those situations which everyone's on the same page so guys can't pick up some of those free?
So if you couldn't hear that, just asked how important is the communication when picking up some of these free blitzers?
Rushers.
We were in a lot of situations where, you know, they really didn't show, you know, 0 blitz on film on 2nd and long when you're kind of backed up. So that one kind of just caught us off guard. But when it's loud, it's hard to, you know, sometimes get the protections right, and you got to just sometimes throw hot. Sometimes you can pick it up. So it's a little bit in between, but it's something definitely we got to look at and get better at, because, you know, we've gotten it a couple weeks in a row. So, I think if we can do that, we can, you know, hit some bigger plays. Yep.
Yeah, and honestly, this is what bothered me about that answer. And I'm not crushing C.J. It's good. Got up and gave an open press conference, gave honest answers. But when it comes to Nick Caley, D'Amico Ryans, C.J. Stroud, yes, you're facing a Seahawks team that doesn't blitz all that much. They ended up blitzing about 19 times in this game, and they blitzed a lot more because, you know why? Because of what CJ just said. They saw it on film. They know where the weaknesses are. Mike Macdonald is a really smart football coach. And yeah, if you demonstrate that you can't pick up the blitz, they're going to blitz the piss out of you. This is going to keep happening. And I'm wondering, like, what went on in 2 weeks of preparation where they just assumed that the Seahawks weren't going to blitz them. And even if they knew in advance, even if they had ESPN and could know for sure that the Seahawks weren't going to blitz them that much, this is fundamental stuff that you have to get good at doing. Because you know what the teams who blitz a lot also do? They change up their blitzes. They're not showing the same damn thing every week. You've got to be prepared for the staples of their defense. But yeah, they're going to throw some stuff at you. That annoys me so much, because I feel like it speaks to an institutional lack of awareness about what you need to prepare for, not just in any particular week, but for an entire season. Yes, they watch film. Yes, Mike Macdonald is probably one of the smartest defensive minds in the league. Yes, they're going to freaking exploit that. Here are the blitzes. Let's see. Blitzes from today. Or from yesterday. I left the down and distance in there just for my own reference. I would say that early in the game, by and large, CJ did a good job of getting the ball out of his hands quickly when he recognized blitz. And there are times where there's going to be free rushers that, like the free blitzers don't always get picked up. Was his accuracy as pristine as it normally is in situations like this? Sometimes it was, and sometimes it wasn't. There's times where, hey, like, Nico. Oh boy, that one. That was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. But there's also times where even in a non-blitz, in this one, the interception. I mean, this is I haven't watched this one closely yet. So you get a free rusher off the edge. Let's see Ariante Ursary over there to the left. His guy is number 0, and he's getting some help from the tight end, but you get a cover 0 blitz there. Yeah, this is the one I think CJ was talking about. And he steps up, throws off balance. So the blitz worked out on that one. But he handled the blitz better in going back and watching than I had felt during the game. There are going to be, like, this might be the one that there's going to be free rushers at times. Like, they don't have enough guys. Look at, they've got, oh wait, what's the right guard do? I should have stopped it earlier. You've got the Mike accounted for, and he's picked up free rusher. Whoever he was hoping to be the hot wasn't there, or CJ didn't anticipate the blitz. Ball's coming out, just couldn't connect. That was one that I think CJ was probably talking about. How he's got to put it on Higgins better. I mean, that last one right there. And I don't expect him to be perfect under pressure, but this one was picked up really well, plenty of time, and just, I mean, the possible pick to. I thought Earl Thomas for a second. So, I'm not putting all of this on CJ whatsoever. Everybody has to be better. How do you pick up for Nico if he's out?
Tom, a few more, y'all. If Nico can't play, what do you all have to do to pick that up?
I thought he'd play really well. I got to just find a way to get him to touch the ball. I got to throw him a better ball. That's just bottom line. Yeah, it's going to be tough. He's our best player on offense. He's one of the best players in the league time and time again. We also got to find ways to give him the ball, in better situations. So that starts with me, trying to get us in the right looks. But, yeah, it would suck, but hopefully, he'll be okay. And, we have a short week, but if not, we got to just step up in other ways and, put more, on my plate, hopefully, to try to, help us out.
Yeah, man, I'm going to be honest with you. I wish I had a more clarity on exactly what I'm upset about and how to fix it right this moment. But there's so many things, and you saw it in just such large print last night that I don't as I said earlier this morning, I had to delete it because I had all kinds of issues with my live stream this morning. This is from the top down. This is Caserio. This is D'Amico Ryans. This is Nick Caley for certain. And then this is individual players in the offense that you're just. I don't care. The excuse of it being a new offense, the excuse of it being new players. The fixation with Braxton Berrios, even though I don't know whatever Braxton Berrios did to pass his physical. I don't think it. I hope it didn't look like what he looked like out there. And meanwhile, Jalen Knoll continues to show up. Woody Marks continues to show up. I'll give Nico a pass on that drop on a really great play that CJ made early in that game. And then as I said this morning, I'm not giving the defense a pass the way it seems like every article I read or anytime I was listening to the broadcast last night, people saying that the defense played well enough for them to win. No, they did not. They didn't. The defense is 100 times better than the offense right now. You can't allow a 70-plus yard touchdown drive and an 80-plus yard touchdown drive on the second and third possessions of the game when this is the offense that you're playing opposite of. You can't be pulling in Azeez Alshire and driving the quarterback into the turf in the very thick part of the side, the thick white part of the sideline. This is stuff that it's unacceptable. You can't have the swarm run amok. Christian Harris, who had one play on defense, throwing Jackson Smith and Jigma into the bench and that. There's no part of that I even think is like badass or anything. You took a man you outweigh by 50 pounds and threw him into a bench and didn't get flagged for it. But what the hell? And this goes back to D'Amico and Caserio. hiring Nick Caley, showing a lack of discipline in very critical moments. One of those lacks of discipline by a guy in Azeez Elshire, who they love and will not stop talking about what a great leader he is. And yet when it comes to trying to lead by example and knowing where to draw the line in your physical play, is just he's flat out lost. He just can't do it. So what are they going to do with Nick Caley, and how are they going to fix him? That's going to have to be at some point a hard conversation about changing midstream in the middle of a season if they don't start looking better than this, because that film's out there now. There's they've shown zero good. They've had zero good games as an offense against good opponents. They had 1.5 quarter of good play versus the Titans, and then they had 4 quarters of good offensive play versus a really bad football team, and not even an actual football team, because half the guys were rookies and backups on that team. Other than that, I feel great. Other than that, it was a fantastic experience last night, as I stayed up way too late watching that stupid football game.